Hi, I'm Mr. Kangas, and today we're going to be taking a look at Chapter 13, Section 3, Subtracting Polynomials. This is not a whole lot different from adding polynomials. The only real difference is the adding the opposite or keep flip changing that is necessary. Basically, this is very similar to Chapter 3, where we were combining like terms. Before we combine our terms, we're going to KFC or we're going to add the opposite. KFC and add the opposite are the same thing. They're just different ways of saying it. So let's take a look at a problem so I can kind of show you what I'm talking about. If we have, for example, 4y plus 1 as your first term, and you are subtracting 3y plus 8. Okay. The only difference here, again, you're going to combine your like terms. You're going to combine your y's together. You're going to combine your constants together. But what is going to change is the signs of the bottom section. We're going to keep flip change. So we're going to keep the top the same. We're going to flip subtraction to addition. And we're going to change the signs of every term in the polynomial. So the positive 3y becomes a negative 3y. And the positive 8 becomes a negative 8. Because the whole polynomial, remember, represents one number. And in order to effectively and accurately change the sign of that number that the polynomial represents, you have to change the sign of every single term in the polynomial. So all your positives turn to negatives, and all your negatives turn to positives. Now, we do exactly what we did in Chapter 13, Section 2. Positive 4y plus negative 3y gets you positive 1y. Positive 1 plus negative 8 is going to get me negative 7. Now, I could have just written minus 7, but again, we always like to use keep flip change or add the opposite whenever we have a subtraction sign. So I just kept it as plus negative 7, and that would be our answer for that problem. You may see some other problems that are a little bit longer, such as v squared minus v, and then we have 2v squared minus 9v minus 3. And we have a minus sign in parentheses over here. So once again, we're going to keep flip change. So we're going to keep the top the same. We're going to flip the subtraction sign, and we're going to change the sign of everything. So the positive 2v squared becomes a negative. The negative 9v becomes a positive. The negative 3 becomes a positive. And now we're going to go through and we're going to do our addition. V squared plus negative 2v squared is just v squared. Negative v plus positive 9v is going to get us positive 8v. The 3 has nothing to add or subtract from, so it just stays as a 3. The reason why the 3 is by itself is because the top polynomial, which is a binomial, did not have any constants to subtract or add to the 3. It did, however, have a v squared, and it did have a v. So we lined those up accordingly. So that's how you do that problem. There's one other type of problem I'm going to go over, and then we're going to be done with this section and done with this video. This is, again, very similar to the last section. You're going to, about halfway through the worksheet, be given some problems where they expect you to take horizontal expressions or equations and turn them into vertical ones. So you may see something like k squared minus 7 minus k minus 11. So you may see something that looks similar to this. And what they're going to expect you to do is turn that in, or what I expect you to do, I should say, is make that into a vertical problem. Don't keep it like this. Okay? Now, if you want to do your keep, flip, change now, that's fine with me. If you want to do that first. So, for example, we keep this set of parentheses the same. So we flip the subtraction to addition, and then we change the sign of everything inside. So the positive k becomes negative, and the minus 11 becomes positive. And now I'm going to go ahead and set my problem up. I have k squared minus 7 on top, and now that I've already keep, flip, changed, I'm going to make sure I have a plus sign here instead of a minus, because I already keep, flip, change, so I had to turn this into an addition problem. Because that's what keep, flip, change does to subtraction problems. It turns them into addition problems. And so now I've got a negative k. There really isn't anywhere to put my negative k right now because I've got a k squared and a 7. So I'm going to hold off on the negative k, because remember, we're adding, so we can do this in whatever order we want. So I'm going to put my plus 11 right here underneath the 7, and I'm going to put my plus k over here. And what we're going to do is we have nothing to add to k squared, and we take negative 7 plus positive 11. We're going to get positive 4 plus k. Now, if I wanted to keep this in standard form, I would have to order this from the largest degree term to the smallest degree. So to keep it in standard form, which isn't necessary, it's just something that mathematicians commonly do. So that way we can kind of look at, you can compare answers with somebody, and you can right off the bat see if you have the same answers. You're not saying, okay, well, I've got a k squared, where is your k squared? And it just makes life a lot easier when you put things in standard form. So the largest degree all the way down to the smallest degree. So the largest degree would be k squared, followed by k, followed by 4. And so that would be the technical answer in standard form. This answer here is also correct, but I am going to tell you, when I'm on a quiz, if I see something that's not in standard form, I may take off a couple of points. I won't take off like 10 points for that, but I may take off 1 or 2. I do expect you to do your best to keep things in standard form. But that's really all there is to this video. Occasionally, you may want to keep, flip, change what's inside the first set of parentheses to make life easier. You don't have to, but you can. If I wanted to, I could have changed this to a k squared plus negative 7, and I still would have gotten the same answers. Wouldn't have affected anything. If that makes life easier for you, you can do that. Any questions, make sure you raise your hand, ask for some help. Make sure you took notes. Make sure you copied down some examples, put in some explanations. Did your notes correctly, please. If you didn't, go back, watch the video, pause it when necessary, and take your notes. Next video will be Chapter 13, Section 4.